Hello and welcome to the Deutsche Börse Photography Foundation Prize 2021. I'm Anna Dannemann, Senior Curator here at the Photographers Gallery, and we're very excited to be presenting these 4 outstanding bodies of work. The Deutsche Börse Photography Foundation Prize is a long-standing and internationally acclaimed annual award that supports artists and projects felt to have made the most significant contribution to photography over the previous 12 months. Over the years, the growing list of nominees and winners has been widely recognized as providing a rich resource to reflect the changing nature of the medium and define new approaches and contexts. And this year is no exception. This year's nominated artists are Poulomi Basu, Alejandro Cartagena, Cheng Fei, and Zineb Sedira. Poulomi Basu has been nominated for her book Centralia, published by Dowie Lewis Publishing.
For me, photography is a means to an end rather than an end in itself. And I quite like to take advantage of that elasticity of photography and what it can achieve through its different forms and meanings. Centralia is actually a docufiction that tells the story of indigenous people who find themselves caught in a Maoist insurgency, sitting between environmental degradation, climate justice, and mass displacement. So I wanted to place Centralia within this larger global context to show that how historically we have paid this price if we remove indigenous people from their lands and rights, and now we see how it's impacting climate change and a global ecocide. I decided to invite other voices into the book, which is the voices of the female guerrillas, their narratives, tribal activists and journalists, and also have the voice of me as an author, and try to give the audience their own tools and methods of figuring out what the story is. I think it's totally possible to take responsibility beyond just being an artist and seeing your works exhibited in art galleries and take it one step ahead and bring it back to the community where you're working and engage those communities and create a groundswell and think of how art can impact change.
Alejandro Cartagena has been nominated for his book, A Small Guide to Home Ownership, published by The Velvet Cell.
The Small Guide to Home Ownership book was a long process. It started as an exhibition. The first thing that came to mind when I started to think of the book was that it was going to be a cynical guide of how to buy a house in Mexico. Homeownership isn't straightforward in the world. There has to be nuances that have to be taken into account in order for it to work and not become a violent adaptation of culture from one culture to another. The closest reference we have to homeownership is the American homeownership idea. I had seen how the Monterrey metropolitan area was changing into this suburbanized landscape, and I would go out to the peripheries of the metro area and photograph, and always finding in those landscapes little houses appearing in the middle of nowhere. And that created a huge opportunity to think, why is this happening? Why is my landscape changing so rapidly around me? And that led me to a rabbit hole of almost 10 years of documenting not only that can be seen, but asking, why are those things there? So I went into the idea of home ownership bureaucracy. What are the steps that are taken in order for those new houses to be built? They don't appear out of nowhere. Somebody is dreaming of them. Somebody is asking for money to build them. How does that look in pictures? Landscape photography is not only the portrayal of what can be seen, but also the invisible processes that make those landscapes change.
Cheng Fei has been nominated for her exhibition Blueprints at Serpentine Gallery.
我觉得我的主题处理的还是比较广泛，比如从过去的这种城市化，然后包括这个青年文化，还有这个历史变迁，那么还有中国的制造业的这个变化。Nova 这个创作作品，它其实跟背后更大的一个项目叫红霞，持续了5年，那么聚焦于中国的电子工业有关系。那么中国的电子工业更早的时候呢，是跟新中国成立后建设新中国的这么一个相关的，所以我用了 Nova 这个虚构的电影故事去描述了这段历史。但是它是关于通过一个父子的故事，构建了一个关于进步、爱、技术，以及遗忘之间的这样的一个创作。所以这个故事在最后的结尾，是关于一个在数字世界抽离、隔离，历史的断裂，但最后呢，结尾是一个在信息空间或者在一个信息一个电波空间重聚的这么样一个故事。当然我不是一个预言家，但是其实作品里面这种就是说为了进步而付出的牺牲，然后最后其实作为某种人类沉重的代价，或者说作为一个像电影里面的科学家复兴最后的懊悔，牺牲了孩子的这段历程，其实人类还是我觉得就是说需要对这样的事情进行一种反思。
Zineb Sedira has been nominated for her exhibition A Brief Moment at the Jeu de Paume.
I'm really interested in this idea of what we call a dead document, like a paper or a document that is often in an official institution. I need to do something around the Pan-African Festival of Algiers of 1969. In Algeria, there was a lot in the archive, so I had to kind of research the official archive and the private archives. I came back with a wealth of documents, photographs, paper documents, canisters of films that I was able to view and photograph. The Pan-African Festival was really Algeria, the country hosting the festival and inviting all the African countries who were fighting colonization, were just colonized or about to decolonize or still colonized, but not just the African countries. They were inviting anyone that was fighting imperialism. So the Cubans, the Black Panthers were there, the Vietnamese were there, the Palestinians were there, the Lebanese, the Egyptians, a lot of the countries from Eastern Europe were there, the Irish were there, the Spanish were there because they were fighting fascism. So using this idea of hospitality, I thought the living room, the idea of the living room was like perfect, because the living room is a place where you host guests, where you might have some political chat or not, but also because I thought it was the ideal space to invite people to come and join the discussion somehow through looking at books, videos, etc. The concept of hospitality is very important in the whole project, or especially with Way of Life, which is the recreation of the living room. So I thought that was a kind of really important moment of discovery. And for me somehow, so as an artist who are of Algerian origin, born in France, living in England, I kind of discovered also through this project that I am African.